We can begin.
Good evening and welcome to this session of the Port Commission Business Meeting. It's September 3rd, 2024, about 6 p.m. We'll start with the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
President Lorang.
Here.
Vice President Clute.
Here.
Commissioner Nats.
Here.
Commissioner Peterson.
Here. Modifications, changes to the agenda, sir.
I'd like to add 5C, can be approval of an intergovernmental agreement between Mid-Columbia Economic Development District and the Florida Cascade Locks. I apologize for not making the agenda, but we got finished up today and we would like to get it in front of you guys this evening.
It's 5C. Yeah, right.
Correct.
Fantastic. Okay, special presentation of reports by outside resources, staff, and government officials. Charlie Ross, CEO of American Cruise Lines.
All right.
You
You want me up here?
Yes,
Oh,
please.
next tonight.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for having me. I'm Charlie Robertson. I'm the president of American Cruise Lines. I'm also joined by Kristen and Ian, who I think everyone's just met. We've been through together around our government affairs department, and been very involved with everything in Cascade Locks and along the river section. I am absolutely thrilled to be here again in City Hall here and before you, before this new commission, because we absolutely love your town and we can't wait to start visiting with our ships. It's been a long road to get to this point, but we really are excited about all the progress that we're making as a company and that we see happening in the port for development, recreation, and responsible tourism. And so I'm very just grateful to have the chance to get to meet you, the new commissioners, and to see you all again and to present before you briefly. Also, just answer any questions you have about what we're hoping to do in the port and where we see ourselves going as a company. We have 20 ships around the US and 5 of them are on the river system here. We're absolutely committed to keeping everything we do small, under 200 passengers, which is really at the smallest end of the small ship segment in the cruise industry. And so we really don't have a whole lot in common with the big cruise ship lines that are doing, long ocean routes and several thousand passengers. And, they have a great product, but it's just very different from what we offer, which is a much more intimate experience and more personalized by its nature and much more conducive to operating in small towns. And so we really try to focus on the smallest towns around the country where big ships can't go, but where people can have, our guests can have very genuine experiences. And so we think Cascade Locks is just perfect for something like that. It's absolutely beautiful waterfront, charming downtown, it's getting better all the time, it's really been getting better. And then many kind of jump off shore experiences, whether it's hiking, kayaking, going out to the falls, there's all sorts of different things to do. And so we have this lease that we put in place with the port a couple of years ago. Been great working with Jeremiah and John on it, and we're in permitting now, and just excited about everything. It's all grinding forward slowly, but at least moving forward. And we were hopeful to build this winter. It looks like it'll be next winter now in any reasonable scenario, and that's okay. We want to keep operating the ships up and down the river, so you see them go by at different times, and we want to keep our thesis with the ships and with the ports is to keep them modernizing. I mean, it keeps historically the infrastructure we have to operate in was about 50-60 years old, and it was built for industrial purpose. That's many of our ports along the river system. But we think that by forming a partnership with the city and with each port, we can make an investment alongside you and actually build infrastructure that's designed for recreation and tourism. And in doing that, it's better for the environment. It has a real community benefit as a park or a public access facility. And it becomes an asset on the waterfront, that's still owned by the port, even if we've invested in it, still. And that's very much the structure that we set up for here. We try and do the same thing with our ships also, where we're very conscious of our impact on the world, both economically and environmentally. And it's a high-end product for sure. It's an expensive product, but it's its nature. By being small, we don't have the same massive scale that the big ships have with lower prices. So that brings somebody into town who generally is willing to spend more on shore excursions and just being town generally shopping. And by staying under 200 passengers, that's not overwhelming. It's it's 3 buses for most of our ships, and we run little loops between the dock and different points around town, and then we run excursions also using those buses, but it's minimal vehicular traffic. The ships are generally new. You've seen the paddle wheelers go by, those are our older ships, and then the ones that look more modern are much newer. But with each ship we introduce, the environmental technology also gets much better. And so the new ships have, I'm happy to talk as much as you'd like about it, but we have a simple fact sheet in the folder in front of me. But the new ships have much greater emission standards that are really guided by the EPA. Wastewater treatment standards, our handling of trash generally is better. And also the ability to plug into shore power and make better use of shoreside and renewable resources. And so we're investing both where American Cruise Lines is the bigger part of the business for sure, and it's the brand that is more of a consumer product. The other side of the business and where we really come from though is shipbuilding. And so my family were shipbuilders before we were cruise operators. And so we still design and build everything we operate. And that's the shipbuilder, they get so excited about the new technology that's available and about what the next new ship is and how it's going to be great, better, and different. And we take guest comments and can feed that right back to our naval architects. And then we have new ships under construction now for different areas around the country. And so the new ships, I think it's great that the new ships phase out the old ones, and that we have the chance to really make tourism better along the river system for the investments we make everywhere. But it really is a partnership with the communities we operate in, the ports, our crew, and each of the vendors we have along the way, just providing good guest experiences.
We'll be looking forward to how we can partner with you as far as ways that we can make your clients' experience better here in Cascade Locks, and how it can benefit the port and our community. And I'm assuming you're in the permitting process with our engineers currently.
We are, and Crystal, maybe you can speak more precisely to that.
Yeah.
Get over some pneumonia, so I'm trying not to go into a coffee fit.
Yeah, so we have a consultant who put together the permit application in consultation with the port. And that was submitted a number of months ago to the Corps of Engineers, as well as to the state of Oregon. As part of the Corps of Engineers process, as you know, they consult with any tribe that could have an opinion or be impacted. And so we're in that process right now, and we're very respectful of that, as I know the port is as well. And so the Corps of Engineers is working through that. They're taking those comments. They're looking to see if any changes need to be made to the project, et cetera. They're also taking a look at the proposed mitigation site. So when you're looking at doing anything new on the river, we don't know yet if it would be required, but it's reasonable to assume. And so we're looking at some improvements that can be made at Permian Creek to take out some old piles and other derelict items that are there. I've seen it for myself. You have the ability of birds to perch there, and they're picking off baby salmon who come into that area to rest on their way during their journey. So that's just a prime area where we know we can have a really good impact for fish. That's one of the things that gets me most excited about the project.
Well, they've been working on that area for some time and trying to strategize, the cold refuge,
Exactly.
for spawning salmon. So, yeah, anything that you could do that would benefit that would be great.
Yeah, I guess to that, is part of the mitigation plan studying how that would be affected by any of the boats going by there and staying there for a while, especially with motor mix, like potentially moving the water.
Yeah, so we actually wouldn't transit in that Harmon Creek area at all. That's one of the things that makes it so unique. And I remember, I think it was about 10 years ago that EPA came out with its list of highest value cold water refuges up and down the Columbia and Snake Rivers. And your Harmon Creek, that cove there was one of the highest value ones, which is why it's so important to take out the ability of those birds to perch there and take away those baby fish. Our vessels wouldn't get anywhere in that area. So that's good news.
Yeah, it's very shallow area.
Yes, yeah, very shallow.
Out there.
So it sounds like is the primary reason for the delay because of this process is going with the Corps and the tribes as well?
Actually, this is just how long it takes.
Okay.
If you talk to anybody up and down the river system who is looking to build anything or even go out and do maintenance and rehabilitation of existing facilities, there's just a backlog at all times with not just the Portland District of the Corps of Engineers, but it's very much a nationwide issue. I'd say it's even more challenging out here because we're lucky to still have endangered species here. So we have a lot we have to evaluate and account for before you can get that permission slip from the Corps. But this is just the more normal amount of time that it takes. We've heard, budget a year and a half, budget 2 years to get through the permitting process. We're hoping to get through a little faster.
Well, Mr. Robertson mentioned it's planning this year, but most likely next year now. So I was kind of curious what with that particular delay.
Right, and so there's also a particular time of year that NOAA Fisheries and U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service have agreed is the best time to be in the river doing any kind of work, and then otherwise they want you out of the river because you could impact species. So it's called the in-water work window. So once that permit is in hand with the port and for American Cruise Lines, then we'll have to see if that lines up with the work window.
Okay. As far as the tours are concerned, what will those look like?
The short excursions that we offer.
And anyone that's going to be stopping here at Cascade Locks.
So the cruise itself is about 95% of the trips we offer, and the Columbia River is 7-night trips, one way from Portland to Clarkston, Washington. You're right to the Idaho border, and Cascade Locks would be a stop on that 7-night trip. And we also have a couple of trips a year that run round trip from Portland, and Cascade Locks can still be a stop on those trips. And so we generally, each port call is about 24 hours. Usually we're arriving in the evening. Guests can go ashore in the evening for dinner, for drinks ashore or something. And then the next day they have a pretty full day of excursions and just free time to explore. And then in the late afternoon or so, we set sail and cruise on to the next port. And so with 5 ships coming in routinely, though, it allows us to have a very consistent flow into the local economy, where each day throughout the week, a new ship is coming in and visit.
Gotcha, so they'll be staggered. It'd be today, first one, tomorrow, the next one.
Correct.
That's fine for it.
Yeah.
So it sounds like if everything's gonna be basically based out of Portland, there would be no additional or potential jobs that would be for people that currently live there, like locals.
I guess the honest answer is not directly, but where we do see a lot of jobs being created are from people we hire into our crew. We love hiring locals for our crew, and we have several from Stevenson, for instance, who are on board. One is used to work on the snowboarder, actually, here. It's now paid with us. And so if we can hire people into the crew, it's great because they can come down in the boat, work their rotation, which will be several weeks on, several weeks off, and then just get off here. All good. That's the case. And then we also, we do see a lot of, especially on the Columbia River here with 5 ships, we become the foundation for small businesses to start excursion operations. And so we've had like kayaking businesses start up, outdoor adventure businesses start up. They use us as their basic foundation, and then they build, the rest of their tourism book on top of that.
One of the ones that I get most excited about is our college station work, and she's an enrolled Nez Perce tribal member. She actually now started her own company called Nez Perce Tourism. She's one of our top partners in the Lewiston Clarkston area, and she's now hired, I don't know how many tribal members, and so they come on board, they do lectures for our guests. They now have their own themed jet boat, and they take folks on Hell's Canyon tours, and so that's something that we could, look at how to better partner with our tribal partners here. And then also, just touching on what Charlie mentioned about the small businesses that end up cropping up because of the very consistent flow of our folks into the community. We've done a lot of work with City of the Dalles, with Port of the River. We're now starting to partner with Canvas and Washougal, lots of these smaller communities up and down the river system to make sure that our local loop is taking folks to the right areas, making sure we're getting our people into them.
Right, 'cause you guys already stopped at Stevenson, right?
We do, yeah.
How would how would those work together, or I guess potentially conflict?
We would like to offer the same excursions in both places, and the local loop to then be on both, regardless of where the ship is docking. We would offer the same package in either place.
So then, I guess if someone buys the package in Portland, they would be able to buy a package that either stops in Cascade Locks or stops in Stevenson?
Yes, and they wouldn't even, like the upriver trips might stop in Stevenson, and downriver trips stops like in Cascade Locks or something. But the local loop would still stop in it would stop in, either on Main Street in Stevenson, and then either on Main Street here to return to the ship or something like that. Right. We've not been stopping in Stevenson very much this year because of the condition of the dolphins. So, and so they're heavily deteriorated to the point that we're not really comfortable operating a full season there. And so where we should be in Cascade Locks and Stevenson about 140 times this year, we're only going to be at about 20 times just because they're deep concern about the dolphins or the pilots, the big mooring pilots that we can tie the ship up. So that's why you won't see us over there very often. Right now, we're pushing into the bank in Hood River, the spit they call it that protects the marina. We shoehorn the boat in there and tie it there, and it's not really an ideal arrangement, but that's going to do it. Really gets us through next year until the stock is ready.
And then these are, you said 7-day excursions?
Right.
Okay. So there's not like daily excursions at all.
I don't understand.
I guess what I'm starting to think about right now is, obviously, we're on the river, we have a lot of like river activity, we mentioned kayaks and other things in the river. I was kind of wondering about, basically how the stern wheeler kind of fits in it, because right now we obviously have 1 hour, like 1.5 hour tours and whatnot. So I was curious if those would conflict or if we would see that different way. But if you guys are fully always a week long, then I can see that wouldn't necessarily be an issue.
No, I think the stern wheeler though would be a fantastic excursion for us, and we would sell that as part of the package, or included in the cruise stern. If guests want to go for a ride on the stern wheeler, and there's many examples we have around the country where people get off our ship and we'll go on a smaller boat for any variety of different things, whether it's just the narration alone. I mean, it gives it its own character different from what we do.
We're the only one with Captain Tom.
Yeah.
We've had the opportunity to
Man,
have a couple
really.
of conversations with folks from Jenny Light, and already we're seeing the opportunity to partner there and to help bring more people on board that stern wheeler to experience
Yeah,
that.
I think I saw you at Captain Tom Day.
Yeah.
But on the stern wheeler.
Yeah, wouldn't miss it.
Nice.
We do, for instance, we have Puget Sound cruises, and we see whales throughout that that whole week that we're cruising 7 night cruises around Puget Sound. But we still offer an excursion of a whale watching trip at Friday Harbor, and we put about 50 people per cruise. So about a third of the ship will get on that excursion. To go out and see more whales. And so I see like the stern wheeler here being something really very similar, where people would love to be on an stern wheeler for one day. They're closer to shore, they get to go through walk through with Captain Thompson everywhere.
Thank you. Rob, do you have any questions that you want to ask?
No, at this time, but thank you very much for the presentation.
All right. Well, we're looking forward to seeing this progress. Hopefully, as you said, we'll be breaking ground and shoving in some pilings this winter. Hopefully.
Hopefully, well, not this upcoming winter, the following.
Yeah.
Following, okay.
Yeah.
They went in the following winter, so 2025.
Yes.
What is the timeline after that?
So operating spring is 2026, and so for us, the season on the Columbia Snake is typically for the end of that very first week of April, and that's that magic time when the Portland and Walla Walla districts have finished their coordinated maintenance closure of all the locks. They reopen them, and then you see that flurry of activity come back to the river, and we're part of that. So early April, and then running until roughly mid-November.
Is the layout plan, like project plan available at some point for us to view, just to see like where things are kind of logistically gonna be?
Absolutely, I can send you the permit applications for all the documents.
Okay. I'm curious.
Yeah, we've laid our biggest ship into the dock and have the stern wheeler show also, and so it's a gangway that it comes off the Sacagawea Circle essentially. And then the ship rests against a row of 6 pylons.
And you said they're not very big ships, so the water displacement shouldn't affect the communication with our, right?
No. And so in like, for instance, it's sort of similar where we're docking next to and Columbus actually even more similar. Where we're docking right next to the entrance to the marina, and it has no impact. It's not like the bulk carriers that go by and we'll you get that huge surge.
Oh, those barges. Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Not that we're like Oakland or anything, but I've heard that the water displacement can be over 15 to 25 feet, depending on the amount of meters that are there. So not that your ships in our port is not nearly going to do that.
Yeah,
But I was just kind of curious if, we'd see some rocking in boats or whatnot.
They shouldn't even notice. I mean, they don't notice it when we go by now, for instance. Right. And we actually feel it the way small boats do when we're in Kalama or Astoria and the big boats go by, and we feel the surge, pulling our boat off the pilings and pushing it back against it. So.
Most folks are very surprised when I tell them this, but our vessel's only draft about 9 feet. So that federal navigation channel out there is authorized and maintained at 14 feet, won't hit 9 feet.
Great, thank you. Horse canoe clubs will be able to paddle.
We're here if you need anything. We want to be good partners. So if we're not doing something perfect, let us know and we'll try to fix it. It's been great working with Jeremiah and Jen, and we'll keep plugging away.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for the presentation.
Thanks for coming in, and it's nice to sort of meet
Thank
you
you.
too,
Thank you very much.
and you've connected with Dan.
Absolutely.
Okay, great.
No bit of fire line.
Okay, awesome.
All righty.
Think Thunder Island's still open, so you got time. Thanks for coming.
All right.
Thank you.
Public interview for Port Commission seat number 5.
As the commission is well aware, we have available seats. We made a window open available for citizens to apply. And had one of those citizens who has applied, Ted Dodd. So he is here today to answer the questions that we posted in the packet that were submitted by the commissioners. Ted, come on up, sir.
Move up to the hot seat then.
Red chairs and everything.
If you want to sit in the comfy one, you can.
Like when the kids say.
Yeah, if you want to move over.
You're more than welcome to come. This is fun.
So,
So we have a list of questions in the packet. Can't remember who the students to be honest with you. And I don't know that it necessarily matters either, so.
Well, and since we were not to elaborate, I think some of the questions might be a little.
There's a letter point that we've got a little bit of a repeat to it, but he's had a early look at these, so I think he's got probably his answers ready for him.
Are we going to alternate,
Let's go right down. You wanna start with the first one, Karen?
That works. What do you think are the biggest challenges currently facing the port?
Good question.
Probably the biggest challenges that I see, and of course, I'm speaking as being a new member of the community, still getting my feet under me as it relates to understanding the history and where we're at. But one that my perception is that we're too heavily dependent upon the bridge and it relates to being an income source. And then, of course, all the challenges related to a 100-year-old bridge like that. So that would be probably one. The other thing is, the other challenge is promoting tourism while also working to account for the seasonal economic fluctuations. So in other words, trying to maintain a balance in whatever line of thought that we pursue as it relates to bringing in businesses and helping to really spur the local economy, just being keeping mindful of being balanced in those approaches. Having that something that's not as volatile or seasonal as tourism is always a good thing, but I tell you what, there's so much opportunity for tourism that it would be a shame not to fully maximize that. So it's a balance.
okay, based on the Port Strategic Business Plan, what do you believe are our three most important priorities?
I touched on that already, in the sense of carrying and maintaining the bridge. That's probably number one. And of course, you guys have already been taking a lot of action in that direction with actually it's a $6 million assessment grant, with a grant to do the assessment, and then other we're trying to plant the seeds for more investment in the future to bring funds to do upgrades and extend the life to 150 years versus 100 years. The other is using the port's property and buildings to contribute to economic growth. Third would be promoting investments by the public in making Cascade Locks a tourist destination. So that's going to try to help facilitate that, and knowing that also bringing in private investment is key to a well-rounded solution. Yeah.
Thanks, Rob, I get to go for it. Are you aware of the recently approved port? Yeah, well, yes. So I don't think I'll finish that one. Is it something that you align with and will support? And if so, how do you align with the plan?
Yes, I'm definitely a fan of promoting tourism. And I've also read the strategic business plan. That was well done. That was well thought out. And I really, as I was going through it, I was trying to look for any missed opportunities or things that I couldn't connect to, and I really had a hard time not finding something that was connected to something that I didn't feel was in good interest of the community. So very much favorable.
Mr. Peterson, would you like to take number 4?
Yeah, thank you, Ted, for being here. What is it about the port that makes you want to be a port commissioner?
I can say the current vision for what Cascade Locks could be. And then I'd also have to say the energy and excitement of the port leadership, as well as the leadership of the city council. I'm really impressed by fresh thinking, positive thinking, people want to take action, pride in the community. These are all things that really motivating me to step up and to join the team. So.
All right. What do you think is the most important role that the port will need to play in the future of Cascade Locks, and why? That probably was already answered in one of these.
Yeah, in addition to what he said, I'd probably say that diversifying the income streams coming into the Cascade Locks and into the coffers of the Port Cascade Locks. I think that's key. A lot of that has to be maximizing. It comes down to maximizing the different assets, and it's really impressive to think about the assets that are in the Port Cascade Locks currently. A lot of towns have this kind of assets at their disposal.
Well, as it appears, these are somewhat repetitive, not a little bit redundant, but how can the court balance economic and economical priorities? Ecological, I'm sorry, economic, ecological, yeah, there we go.
Well, I think that also ties into making sure it's in line with what the community wants. As it relates to, and what I'm thinking of in answering that question is, what type of businesses do we choose to bring in? You know, I think bringing in a coal-fired steam or coal-fired, smelter, make it, bending steel and making steel is not in line with what we're looking at doing. I think, things that are more in line with what the community wants, and just being open to that, light footprint, something that everyone can really connect with. And I think a lot of people live here because of nature, and I think we want that. So, I don't know if I'm answering that question thoroughly, but
I mean, you can tell just by some of the questions that we asked ACL that there's a lot of things that we care about, especially the cold water refuge and just even for the ecology that's, that we're not doing more harm. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, gosh, I started to yap. How do you plan to connect with our community and the local stakeholders to make sure that their opinions and concerns are considered in the court's decisions?
well, one is always, and I take this approach as on a personal basis, is being open and accessible. I think is, the first thing. And then second is always being slow to comment and to actually listen to what people have to say and really try to understand where they're coming from. Understand their thoughts and their view of the world, or what their background is, or what their motivations are. And then based on that, trying to work through to a consensus if there is a conflicts that need to be resolved. Being open and accessible and listening. And I think the other thing is too is that if decisions are going towards a certain project or activity, that there are some people could be affected and they're not at the table or being aware of what's going down the pipe or being moved forward. Probably taking this a pause and reaching out to them to make sure that they're engaged. They might have something to contribute to the conversation.
Well, you can tell by our strategic business plan, a lot of the language is very broad and open for interpretation. So it's important, kind of like it to be a little bit like a living document where it leaves room for interpretation for gathering together with the community and really, the whole thing is about getting buy-in to the community and looking at everybody's view on it and make sure that it works for everyone. Rob, I think you're up.
Yeah, we saved the best and most used interview question of all time. Can you share a time when you had to navigate a tough decision where different people or groups had competing interests? And how did you handle it? And what was the result?
Well, as it relates to an example, well, first of all, for the last 27 years, I've been serving as a key participant enterprise level office projects, where typically I'm working with 15 plus different contractors, stakeholders, working on multi-million-dollar projects, with timelines of 1 to 2 years. So on an ongoing basis, there's always the challenge of trying to get to a final destination, a successful project, working through a whole myriad of different challenges. And of course, working together as a team, finding collaboration, and that's always been key. But the example I was thinking of when I first read this question was my experience with the Cabin Owners Association up in at Northwestern Lake, for those who remember that. Northwestern Lake is known as CONMA, is the association. When I was there, 2004, I was able to help motivate a bunch of people to come together and form an association. One hadn't existed. Now, that was extremely challenging. We have a lot of individuals that didn't want to be in any type of homeowners association. With any with the potential of losing any of their rights and versus or any other variations that they didn't, they weren't interested in. So trying to pull people together for that, I really had to spend time interacting with people on a one-on-one basis, understanding what the motivations is, but most success I had is when I started talking about the common vision where we want to go. And that was the fact that the dam was being discussed about being removed. How was that going to impact the cabins? There was also a lease that was going to be coming up for renewal. There's a lot of challenges in that. And then there was also the fact that when the lake was gone, you know, we all wanted to buy the land that our cabins sit on, because all the cabins sit on leased land. So there's a lot of issues at hand, but by voting the ultimate goal, what we all wanted, and building alliances and communicating all the positives, we were not only able to form an association where there hadn't been one, and we were also able to renegotiate lease with Pacificorp and also set the groundwork for the actual sale of the land, which still hasn't happened. This is a very long process. I'm long gone from that cabin ownership, but it's still interesting to see that the group is still operating and they're still marching towards the original goals we set back in 2004. So, I have to say that would have to be a big success. In fact, you're trying to wrangle 50 cabin owners is like herding cats. But it's all about how we build alliances that make that happen.
Awesome. Well, I know that it says here that no decision will be made this evening, but since Ted is our only applicant, and I'm certainly satisfied with his answers, I hire him. I might suggest that we should consider, if somebody has a motion to consider putting Ted on our board, then I'm open to it.
Was there specific language that we would need to put, say?
So we had created sort of a process for this, expecting to have, or in the anticipation that more people had applied. So because we don't, it really does open the opportunity to get that, and there's on board immediately. There's wisdom in that. We got a lot of work to do. He's first time elected official. He's got his ethics training. You guys just did this. You know how much there is. Your big binder comes, etc. There is also some wisdom in you guys' opportunity to take some time to deliberate on it, but it really is up to you. And it really is just as simple as making a motion to appoint Ted Todd to be commissioner in position number 5.
All right, I'll make a motion to appoint Ted Dodd to be in position number 5 as a port commissioner.
That's what I was kind of working for those words. I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion to second to put Ted Dodd on board commission.
I'll make it.
Do we have to say like that?
And all those in favor?
I
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Awesome.
In anticipation of this, we are prepared. So Carrie Ann will proceed with swearing in Ted Todd.
Does he already have a name like though?
He does.
We'll get it this week.
You're writing to praise. I, Ted Dodd, having been appointed to the office of Commissioner of the Port of Cascade Locks, Hood River County, State of Oregon.
I, Ted Dodd, have been elected and appointed to the office of the Commissioner of the Port of Cascade Locks, Hood River County, State of Oregon.
And having accepted said appointment and being ready to enter upon the duties of this office.
And having accepted and said elected and appointed, being ready to enter upon the duties of this office.
Being first duly sworn to hereby swear and affirm that I will perform the duties of the office as a port commissioner to the best of my ability.
Being first duly sworn to hereby swear and affirm that I will perform the duties of this office of the Board of Commissioners to the best of my abilities.
That I will uphold the Constitution of the United States of America and the Constitution of the State of Oregon and the bylaws of the Port of Cascade Locks.
That I will uphold the Constitution of the United States of America and the Constitution of the State of Oregon and its bylaws of the Port of Cascade Locks.
You swear or affirm.
I swear or affirm this.
Official seat.
Now you get the comfy chair.
You also find out that you cannot participate in a public duel.
Actually,
It still exists on Oregon books that you're removed from office if you participate in a public duel.
Or privates.
Okay, discussions, Marine Park Restroom.
Oh. Thank you.
This is really just informational discussion item and follow-up on commission direction from the August 6th meeting. During that meeting, you heard public testimony from a marina tenant, who was expressing their frustration that the restrooms at the former visitor center building were no longer accessible to them 24 hours a day. And the commission directed us to take a look at some ways to solve that problem. Parker has identified a conveniently located sewer line, which is close to the visitor center building. And if you can see my tiny little yellow tack on page 3 there in the map, that is the site that Parker has identified as at least cost closest to the lost amenities for the marina tenants for potentially installing one of these prefabricated restroom facilities. So I requested from CXT Inc. Quotes on their 3 of their least cost models, and CXT has a price agreement contract with the state. So the cost that I'm showing you here on the quote sheets for each of those units includes an estimate for delivery, but it's not a perfect final quote yet, and it's based on that state agreement pricing. This is the kind of project that Port could apply to Oregon Parks and Recreation Department's local government grant program. The next cycle opens in January of next year. In fact, LGGP is the program that is funding the restroom and shower units that will be installed in October of this year at the Harvey Road parking lot. So potentially that's something that we could apply for funding for the grant program. If we did want to fund it with grants, however, if we wouldn't be able to install it until 2026. So just throwing out these options for you to kick around and think about. We currently, of course, do not have 79 to 117,000 in the budget for this project for this year. So it would require a budget adjustment from you if you wanted to pursue it on an aggressive self-funded schedule. Or if you want staff to pursue the grant application, we can certainly start putting that together for submission in January.
As the person that probably pushed for this the most. I guess I have a couple of questions.
Okay.
One, I know that there's a apartment there right now, right?
Yes,
When will it be taken away?
I will keep that there here.
That's over by the Marina Beach.
Right.
we have multiple now. We have one near the sewer lift station as well, near the Estapa building, to accommodate folks that walk there thinking they're gonna walk to a restroom, and then there's not one there. So we put one there, conveniently located, and then, so we'll have to decide where we want to keep that final restroom. More than likely, the best location is in the marine park near the Pebble Beach.
Right. How do we keep that from flying away during winter?
There's a post there, we can tie it off. It would probably be next to that, near the kiosk, next to that light pole.
And that's clean how many times a week? Twice?
Currently now it gets cleaned 2 to 3 times a week.
If we applied for a grant, how much does the grant cover the full?
It'll cover up to 80% of the total project cost.
Okay.
So we would have to at least cover 20%.
The grant, what are the odds of getting approved for a grant on the first time?
For projects like these, it's pretty good odds. You always, of course, have to demonstrate a need. So we would want to arm ourselves, for lack of better words, with some really good usage statistics, which we really should have anyway, for the Marina Beach area and for the marina itself. There are public restrooms already at the Marine Park. I think, if I were a grant scorer, I might be looking at higher priority areas that need restrooms more than a park that already has two. So we're really talking about walking distance from the public beach and from the marina itself for our tenants. So, that's kind of a weaker part of our application, but we're a proven partner for this program. They know that we can deliver on our projects and that we do a good job with project management. And so, I think we have a good chance. I wouldn't say it's a sure bet, but it's a good chance.
And then this would have to be blocked during the winter time, like the other one at the park, right?
Or have some kind of.
No, not necessarily.
Maybe it's
Access code.
key code door or whatever, for enable tenants to get in.
By locked, what do you mean by locked?
Well, right now, the bathroom that's down there during the winter time, it's like locked up, can't go to it.
The Center Park restroom, yes, we do that just because we don't have a very great way to insulate from the east wind there. But our smaller restroom, like down at the boat launch, is open year round. And if we built the infrastructure for it, we would install the proper heaters to keep it there year round.
There are, as you can see on the added cost options, there's some weatherization measures that you can also apply for.
That's just Center Park lacks that insulation.
And in all reality, that is the park probably sooner rather than later is gonna be the bathroom, not just for marine tenants, but from the ACL folks and the development that occurs based on the tourism you get from the ACL folks. Certainly you can see in the future that there's some sort of market down there. We'll just see more activity that in the park. It stop is getting more activity. People are gonna go eat, but then they're gonna go play in the park. So that is the park. Ultimately, is gonna get the restroom sooner rather than later.
Right, I know I've mentioned it to you guys before, but I've always envisioned where stop is at. Extending that out on one of the sides and actually having like a gift shop or a bathroom or other things, because there's gonna be that many people from ECL. And then next up, and also with Stern Miller, making that a viable economic area seems like just a no-brainer to me. And having something like that, you have to have a bathroom anyways.
Yeah. And we can certainly try to estimate what not this prefabricated, standalone unit would be, but we can try to get some cost estimates on having an exteriorly accessed restroom unit sort of stuck onto that west side of the Missouri building.
Isn't
That's
that
option for you,
kind
too.
of a historic building too, like then they move it down the river from the Bonneville Dam?
It is the old, no, it is the old park.
I don't know if it holds any
Meet
historic.
Qualifications as a historic building, even though it moved, I don't think it does.
No.
It's
So
had
it's got
modifications.
historic
I
significance to it.
Yeah.
I think a secondary bathroom attached potentially to that building may create some issues around traffic. Because you have a lot of folks lining up right there and at the restaurant traffic and then the ACL folks getting off. It might be nicer to have it somewhere where it spreads that out a little bit.
And if you don't have to enough, I'm sure that Excel will not like that.
I have another question for Parker. Do you have like a ballpark number, how much would it cost to run wastewater lines from the existing plumbing out to the beach area?
No, I figured this comment would come up. It is something if you guys wanted me to pursue, I could, and I'm happy to do so. It would be a pretty large infrastructure project. The closest point that we know has a line is near where the Stern Wheeler has their blue tent currently. I know there's a line underground there that would be the closest access. The easiest access though would be to straight line on the land that I believe we lease from the railroad and go through that roadway there. And so we'd minimize, we would close the Pebble Beach during the winter at some point, dig that line, repave, re-asphalt and everything, reattach. It would then lead to the sewer lift station right outside Ixtapa.
And that sounds like more than 100.
It would be a
Yeah.
pretty decent infrastructure project.
We're gonna invest in infrastructure, I'd like to see it, if we go down to through the whole business park.
So where that point is, there's that I can put a bathroom there without tearing up any concrete, without screwing up any traffic flow. That is the easiest
And
point there.
We're not gonna have to expand anything current as it's currently set up, like the roundabout or anything for the ACL contracts, because I'm not aware that it's a sidewalk. Okay, so we just wanna make sure we don't put it where, we wanna make sure we measure where the sidewalk goes before we put it down.
Yeah, and it's a good point there for a crosswalk. There's a couple of points, couple of access points there where folks naturally walk anyways. Near Sacagawea and then near the parking lot entrance there.
And for the, 4th of July, PCT days, all of those big event days, and even some of our larger events, it really would be nice to have another flushing facility. That you can walk to just on the grass from the pavilion, at least, so.
And if we decide to do a Christmas market or something. that
Yeah.
Really opens a lot of windows for us.
I think we're-
If you do apply for, oh, sorry.
No, you're good, go ahead.
If you do apply for a grant in January, when would you hear the soonest?
We
About-
wouldn't know until September.
Oh, that long, okay, yeah.
So we really, we would get the award notification in September. We would have a public bidding process for the contract, or actually we wouldn't really need to for the hookups, actually, sorry.
I think we could get away with all of this.
Maybe we could do it, but, or,
Within our
if
procurement.
we need to hire for the hookups, then we'd have to get some quotes or do a bid. And then, hopefully install in the spring. CXT has a 180-day delivery guarantee after you order the unit, so it'd be pushing it pretty farther into 2026.
But that's when
Yeah.
I see it.
I understand there's definitely a need for it, but I don't think there's an extreme urgency for it. So I think going the grant route is the most responsible way to go about it. So
And it's not the only funding program, there's, there could be other opportunities, so I was just looking at LGGP.
Do you have some feedback, Dan?
Could I make a comment?
Yeah.
Should I approach or?
Yeah, go
make
ahead.
some- Okay, one thing about the LGGP program, when I was talking to the program director, Mark Cowan, as we were kind of sorting out this last grant for the Harvey Road restroom facility, he said that in that round, there had been, so LGGP is funded by state lottery funds. And so there had been some kind of bubble moving through the system because of the COVID pandemic, and there was a lot of lottery funding that was available at that last round. And so, that probably won't be the case this next time. So just for your consideration, the program will probably be a little more competitive this round.
No, I'm aligned with Rob as far as I guess speed and need of it. We don't have it in the budget, as you mentioned. It is definitely seems like something that's I know today's only discussion, but it's something that we could potentially look at as far as next year's budget is concerned. It seems like we're already at the end of the year anyways. Just continue using whatever we have right now. That makes sense to me. And then also, we need to continue talking about our strategic business plan. Does that entail something else down there, but we already have this, we already have that. So, yeah, I'm okay with keeping this discussion as a discussion and then just earmarking whenever there is potential for it.
Okay.
If we need to.
Putting the grant on the calendar to apply for.
Yeah, so like I said, it opens in January, so, fall, November, December would be when they put it
It sounds like any development could be considered down there is now gonna consider having a bathroom included, whether that's the flood
Right.
toilets or. Whatever it's the market, whatever we add down there, it sounds like bathroom is part of that project, so.
Let them know we haven't forgotten them, but we will address this when time and resources allow.
Absolutely.
Do you remind me, where exactly does that ACL document go?
So, you know, where the second degree circle is.
Yeah, I actually have this.
That's perfect.
It's
It's almost directly.
They're getting a very nice
introduction. I'll send it to you in this meeting as well, but it's almost directly off the.
Sorry,
end of
everyone's
the
talking
Sac-
at once.
It's almost directly off the end of the Sacagawea circle.
Oh,
To be Drews. a
Well,
sidewalk
it's
from
nice to
Circle
that
Street.
sculpture, right, when they come out.
The stern wheel
when
dock
that dock
is
comes out,
staying
right there.
where it
with
is.
that,
The stern of the dock is staying exactly.
Oh, okay, so they're just gonna park in front of the stern.
That's correct.
And there's no, I don't see based on this picture, it doesn't look like there's any native fishing.
That is not
Platforms.
been a place where we've traditionally seen the natives fishing.
Okay.
We don't see platforms in that area. We don't see nets in that area. It was actually one of the places that we discussed with the forestry tribes when it was in the lock fingers itself. Was, you know, we were affecting fishing in a pretty dramatic way. We took out ACL, took out a platform which they quickly replaced. But this was offered as an alternative. So we think that's probably the best place to put an ACL building.
And being that close to current stern wheeler dock as well as the stop in that building, then that's a real opportunity, as you said, for us to kind of extend that building and you make a better facility as is needed, both for the stern wheeler and for ACL.
yeah, I mean, I just think about the amount of people there and then just thinking about it from a business owner standpoint. Just the ability to even have another restaurant down there or a gift shop or something else. And people look out on the water while they're sitting down. I could just see that being a huge draw.
That to the park is going to change dramatically in this however many years you guys decide, but it is untapped potential for sure.
Well, and what are our deed restrictions with the Army Corps on that? Because I thought we could do more additional development, like permanent structure, that kind of stuff.
No, we can. I mean, there's gonna be a permitting process, anything that's that close to the water.
Right.
We're gonna have to go through a permitting process on it, air adoption, anything like that.
Okay.
Well, we'll put this
Well, ACL, I mean, if we didn't put a bathroom and ACL was there. Where would all their people go to the bathroom? On the boats? What if they're waiting in line for the boat? It's like, I get on and get off.
We don't
Would
have that.
ACL chip in for some of this?
Yeah, there's no.
Okay, possibility.
So it sounds like 2026, we're gonna have a lot of things ready.
okay. Oh, well.
We'll say that's next year.
I think we got a super short
2026 is our
convention.
bridge centennial too, so.
Yeah, it's been a year for us.
With ACL on that, I think maybe help them bring in people for the celebration.
Yeah, absolutely.
Alrighty, well, I guess since this is just discussion, we'll move along. Business action item, approved letter of support for the Georgia Transit grant application, stand long.
President Lorraine, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Commissioners, thanks for having me in. Commissioner Dodd, congratulations. Nice to see you on this side of the. For your consideration tonight, we've got 2 letters of support that have been requested of the Port of Cascade Locks. We'll take these one at a time. The first one is from MCEDD, the Mid-Columbia Economic Development District. Of course, is helping. Well, first they helped create the 2023 the regional transit strategy. This is a process that I believe the Port of Cascade Locks did participate in. Genevieve's nodding her head, and that fits with MCEDD's mission of economic development across the Gorge region. So they're in 5 counties, 2 in Washington, 3 here in Oregon. So what they're doing with this letter request, there are a couple of grant programs that they plan to pursue funding from to fund various transit agencies around the globe. So there's one in Oregon, it's ODOT's Statewide Transportation Improvement Fund, discretionary statewide transit network grant program. It's quite a mouthful, but it provides funding to transit districts around the state. There's a complementary program in Washington that WashDOT Consolidated Grant Program does basically the same thing. So MCEDD has taken it upon themselves, since they were the conveners of the broader regional strategy, to gather these letters of support to then deploy when these various agencies are requesting funding for projects that made it onto that strategy. And so they're doing the hard work. They've just asked us to sign one letter that they can use for applications into either state. And so you'll see a draft of that in your packet. If you have a moment to take a peek at that, if you haven't already, you have it ready to go. You'll see a little bit of a preamble, and then it breaks down into the various projects that they will be requesting funding for based on the individual transit districts. So we've got a couple here that of course are relevant to Cascade Locks, a number that aren't, but you know, this kind of work really lifts all the boats and helps us to have a stronger transit network for July.
I already read it and I'm ready to sign.
All right. Make a motion.
I make a motion that we approve the letter of support with board's transit grant applications. In dash and on in dash.
Okay, there has been a second letter of support with the CAD application for Washington State, Oregon, Washington State transportation grants. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed?
Have this
You want to
letter.
say aye or no? Abstain.
Same.
Perfect, that's even better, that works even better, because I have the letter here that only has 4 commissioners signatures that I need. So, good,
Perfect.
right, just slide that down as you sign it, we'll remember.
And
Ready for the second?
yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Well, we can multitask.
Great, launching into number 2 here. This is a daycare provider. KiddieCity is seeking funding to construct and renovate a new childcare facility at the Cascade Locks Elementary School. And so they have also requested a letter of support from the Port of Cascade Locks. The program that they're applying to is the Oregon Child Care Infrastructure Fund, the CCIF. This is a statewide grant program focused on providing funds for establishment, expansion, and improvements of facilities across the state. So they can use this for construction, renovation, rehab, brick and mortar kind of stuff. Great program. This was created in the Oregon legislative session in 2023. And I think the state put $50 million into it.
Yeah, it's 50.
2 tranches of 25, I
Yeah,
think is how they're
yeah.
going up. Thanks, Genevieve. So KiddieCity is looking for about $100,000 to fund those renovations at the elementary school. And they say that when that project is completed, it will create 40 new childcare slots here in Cascade Locks. As you all are probably aware, there are no dedicated childcare facilities like this here in town. The closest one is in Stevenson. KiddieCity is not involved with that. There are 2 are in both in Hood River County, one in Hood River proper, and then one in Parkdale. Of course, you know, childcare and access to quality childcare is you'll find that as a regional priority on the MCEDD CEDS list, the comprehensive economic development list that entities around the board, including the Port of Cascade Locks, participate in and set. So for your consideration, there is a letter in your packets.
I've been to school multiple times in the library, but you would have got to actually walk through the area that they talking about. How big is that spot?
It was 4 rooms, one of them was a small room, and the renovation that they need to do is take out a wall that's not a load bearing wall, it's actually a wall that was put in, I think by the health department for the clinic that was back there. And so they're taking out a wall that was put in to demise this space, so that it's back to classroom size, a big enough wall to be able to really see all the kids.
Right.
And an input room. And so they have a pretty large, area that will be the check-in, drop-off, pickup area. It's kind of like almost half of this room with lots of storage. And then after you go through that sort of secure checkpoint, then the kids will go to the age appropriate room for their group. So
Did you say the main sort of player that it's about this? It's
about this size, this room, yeah, and they have a dedicated.
Kitchen probably goes a little farther over this way.
Yeah. And they have a dedicated fenced little play area that's separate from the rest of the school's play area. Just for, toddlers and the preschool kids, but they will also, on their program and in agreement with the school, have access to the grounds, and it'll be a super great day trip.
Already has the little soft cushion for the wobblers.
And it's in that,
Cover up top, keep osprey and eagles.
yeah, exactly.
Carrying the children away.
I get sort of turned around once I'm in the building, but I think it's the south side of the building, sort of down the hallway from the library, so it's sort of separated from the gym and the cafeteria, but it's in this sort of.
The
Separated
outdoor,
space, but still feels connected.
that outdoor space is right next to the covered outdoor
Yeah.
gym.
Yeah.
So that's the corner of the room.
Yeah, that makes sense. As someone that had about 15 kids in my house yesterday, I hope that they have soundproofing.
Yeah.
That library will not be quiet anymore.
Yeah, right.
You know?
This is their third location, their other 2 locations are in church basements, which is, really common and a perfect setup. But this is a really neat opportunity for Cascade Box and a way to use that space at the elementary school.
Yeah, I definitely like what I'm seeing here. I've lived in Cascade Locks for 6 years, and lack of childcare has always been brought up. And, this is like, the biggest opportunity right here to make that happen. So I think we should definitely lend our support for this cause.
I was gonna say, as someone that struggled to find childcare when I moved here, and as someone that knows a lot of people in town that would benefit from something like this, knowing that even us just signing a letter could help them out is a huge win for me. So I'm fine with it, and I move to approve the letter of support for KiddieCity grant application to the childcare infrastructure fund.
And second the motion.
Okay, and a motion second to approve letter of support for the KiddieCity grant application to the childcare infrastructure fund. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Opposed, abstained. Okay. Motion passes. Thank you very much. We got a third, let's see, we got 5 senior approval of IGA with debt for something else, right?
We did want to get this on the meeting, agenda for this evening, as you know, been standing up the grants, program, and falling a little behind in that, as much as we were working our tails off to get it up. It is already September, halfway. And so, we discussed the potential of MCEDD doing administrative work on that program, as well as the selection process, which is going to give us an opportunity to keep that above board, have good transparency to it. And also just the administrative side of it, that would be something that doesn't land on the port, which could be sort of tricky with how small this community is, as well as just other things that we currently have going. So the agreement you have in front of you is a clean copy. It has been reviewed by our attorney, has the scope of work available in there for those to look over. I know everyone takes some time to do that. I'll point out that we have an agreement that's not to exceed $15,000. We think it will be somewhere in between $10,000 and $15,000. We could potentially see that number go down in the future. As we sort of get this under our belt and realize what the lift is for MCEDD, and it becomes easier right now. As we stand up, we want to make sure we have plenty of money to do that. This will come out of our professional services budget, so it will not affect the $150,000 that you guys have available to get out to that fund. But feel free to review it, and if it's something you're comfortable with, approving this evening, we certainly appreciate it, keep the project rolling. Hot out of Tommy's finger.
And they haven't.
They have seen a MCEDD.
Yeah.
They have seen a very close to this version. And nothing that Tommy changed gives us any concern. If MCEDD were to come back and want to redline something, this will be back at the next meeting for your guys' approval. Our assumption is that they will sign it. It was very small changes.
Well, we're very familiar with the organization, they come well recommended, and I have no problem with it.
I guess I just have a couple questions as far as the entire program is concerned. Last time we saw a lot of discussion that we were having. Since that's not complete yet, is us approving or not approving this tonight impact us getting that to a final state?
So we do have the complete program guidelines, sort of the playing rules have been approved and completed for both the small grants and the large grant program. And those are reflected in the guidelines that you guys approved, I think it was in the last meeting.
Really?
Yeah.
I must have told you.
Yeah.
So long,
We had a discussion, one of the most recent changes was, we're talking about risk mitigation for the small grants, and we had originally talked about those funds being dispersed at the time of award.
Right.
And we decided to do that 50% and then the remaining 50% on reimbursement basis. And that sort of led into this discussion of, with the larger grants being all reimbursement basis, that's a lot of bookkeeping on the back end. So this is a really valuable service that will be provided to us, where our awardees will be presenting their reimbursement requests to MCEDD for reimbursement. MCEDD will be cutting the checks and doing all of that accounting for us. On the front end, what you have not seen is the final draft of the application form itself. But you have approved the sort of program rule, sort of, what are the rules that we're all playing by, eligibility, priorities, the maximum and minimum amount, and how the funds will be distributed. So you will see a draft of the application form, and you will you still have not seen a draft grant agreement. And so those two will be coming next.
Yeah, I remember us having still very specific points that needed to be addressed. I guess I forgot what we said. We're gonna go on. I thought we were gonna see like we did with the employment. We saw these things, we kept seeing them over and over again.
Got them. We'll double check. I'll send you the updated one and let you know if there's anything. But we had a motion to approve.
Oh, I totally believe it.
Yeah.
A month ago was a long
Yeah.
time. For me. I
Agree.
But yeah, if you wouldn't mind revisiting that. I would
Absolutely.
take another look.
Absolutely, and like I said, you'll see the application forms, so you'll be able to provide input on, okay, are these the questions that will really get to a good objective answer to these criteria? We'll be talking about how we want to score each of those criteria, and then the agreement itself, so there's still a lot of work to do going forward. One step where at least we'll have one of our unknowns known, and that is how will the administration, be.
We'll also work closely with MCEDD, please, so that they understand that process, and that they have the opportunity to give feedback as well on how they want to handle it from the administrative side. Don't want to give them a project that they don't feel like they can complete, so they will play a role in helping us.
Anybody prepared to make a motion on this potential intergovernmental agreement?
Can you give me 1 minute to read these steps? Sorry. I appreciate the requirements, you guys know them.
I also appreciate you guys taking consideration of something that you got just a short time ago, it's sort of the nature of the port a little bit, right? The city typically doesn't add anything to an agenda after that Thursday that it hits. We're in a good position that we have to interact fairly often with private business, and so we typically will bring you guys things at the last minute, and are fully aware if you haven't had enough time to reflect on it, but it will be something that we continue to do. If it's hot off the presses and it makes sense and it helps us be, have some sort of advantage working with private business, we're typically gonna get in front of the folks, but it makes a lot of sense if you say, hey, this isn't enough time to review. Right.
I'm personally comfortable with it, but we could also table that if you prefer.
I'm personally comfortable with it as well. I do have a logistical question though. Accept applications on a rolling basis. I guess everything will be sent to them. Do they have a portal? It's gonna be deeper.
This will be an online application.
Perfect.
Yes, and so I think there's the timeline there is kind of laid out in the scope of work that
Right.
they'll receive an application, they have a couple of weeks to review it, and they have a couple more weeks to present you with a summary and a recommendation.
I
For
was
your
just curious
decision.
about the portal, like who has to set that up? Will they set that up as well?
The application portal is, I believe that's already is the top one.
But we'll basically let them know when the application cycle begins and then.
Yeah.
Everything will go through them.
And it's, we talked about, this first year, we don't really know what to expect, we don't really know if we'll have a rush of, enough applications that if they were funded would deplete the grant funds in like the first month, we don't know, or we might have a trickle of $1,000 project here, $10,000 project there, and so we don't really know what to expect. Since we are so far into this year, of course, we're wanting to give everybody until December 2025, 2026, sorry. Completion deadline for their projects. And so this IGA would go through 2027 to June 30th, 2027, because if they're finishing their projects up at the very last end of our allowable limit, they'll be submitting reimbursement requests and reporting in January, February, to March for your budget planning session for that year. So there's still some admin work that we can be performing that late. It could happen quicker if we do have, a whole bunch of applicants and a whole bunch of great projects ready to go, and we get them all done in one rush, then we certainly wouldn't need to extend it until, maybe we wanted to re-up it after that evaluation of how it works.
Is this a flat fee, 15?
No, I think it's.
Not to exceed.
Yeah,
Not to
yeah,
exceed
not to
15.
exceed.
So they bill.
Yeah, yeah, bill.
Even at 10, even if that's only 10%. My question was about how many people would be submitting grants, or how many grants would they be processing or managing, or?
I think that still is an unknown. for this
That's an
year.
unknown.
There's different tiers based on business that would be a point.
Somebody want to enter a motion?
I already said two of them, so. It's,
I will make a motion to approve the intergovernmental agreement between Mid-Columbia Economic Development District and Port of Cascade Locks for administration of the port's fiscal year 2024-2025 economic development grant program.
Excellent. Somebody like to say that?
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion second to approve the IGA between the Columbia Development District and Port Cascade Locks. I won't go further. Is that, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Abstain, all right, great, motion passes. Now, where are we? Oh, there we go. Executive Director report.
We're gonna start at the end of the director's report, with the legislative updates, since we have Dan. In-house today, so bring us up to date on the good work you've been doing.
Yeah, it's wonderful. Well, this will be a little bit about what's been happening, a little bit about what's coming up here. Thanks for the opportunity. This past, summer is a little slower in political circles. The campaigns are starting to kick off. People are thinking about other things. And so it's nice to be able to catch the breath a little bit. Here at the port, we've held a handful of meetings here and done some preparation for some future events. Notably, kind of the next milestone here in September, I guess we're in September, a week from Friday, the Joint Transportation Committee of the Oregon Legislature will be in the Dalles hosting a bit of a roundtable and public comment period. So state of Oregon faces pretty sizable deficits in its transportation budget. This is attributed to a number of different factors. The one you hear about most is increasing fuel efficiencies means less gasoline is being used, less gas tax money is being collected. At the same time, there are also, cost increases, inflation, wages and salaries are just slowly creeping up through the years. And it all leads to the state facing a pretty sizable gap in its transportation budget. So ODOT's budget is about $6 billion for a biennium. And I've heard forecasts kind of all over the place, but the number that I hear most often is about 1.7 billion is the additional that ODOT says they need to, just keep the lights on, keep filling potholes, striping, street sweeping the shoulders and that kind of general operations and maintenance. We're not even talking about big projects here. So the legislature is going into that next session. Know that they've got to be out in the community, talking to folks, getting ideas, socializing some of the ideas that they have for raising that revenue. So the meeting in the Dalles next Friday will be one of, I think, 10 or 12 of these road shows that they're doing. So Port of Cascade Locks has reserved space at the table. We are in the enviable position of being able to say thanks leading into a transportation package at a time when there are a lot of projects that need funding. We got ours in the last session, so we're kind of in a good spot with the state of Oregon at this point. Nonetheless, it'll be good to be there, get some face time with the legislators, and offer our appreciation for the $6 million they gave us in the last session. Questions about that?
So it's more tolling going to be part of the discussion for them to fill that gap.
Less so tolling. Tolling's been a pretty hot topic around the state, and you've probably heard some of the stories about metro area tolling. The governor has hit pause on those tolling plans. I think it's through it's either until 2026 or until the end of 2026. What they're looking for here is, the holy grail at this point in transportation funding is really a VMT, a vehicle miles travel tax, which is exactly what it sounds like. Instead of paying money at the pump, you pay for the number of miles that you drive in your car. So if you're driving a Prius or a Tesla, or a Chevy Silverado, you're just paying for that for the mileage that you travel. There are a lot of issues there, right? Privacy. You can track people with ease. You can track people with a chip in their car. A lot of folks aren't gonna like that.
The phone, you probably already, if you've signed up for an app, you've probably already given them the right to do that.
Mhm.
And you don't even know it, because those things are like 50 bajillion words long.
Right.
How we can track how many of those miles are part of take place in Oregon, people take road trips, so.
Mhm.
I think it really impacts people in rural cities, because they have to drive farther to get to.
facilities.
That's right, yeah, there's definitely a lot of equity questions, privacy questions, just the technology and how it's all going to work, and. I don't think there's a state yet that has kind of cracked the nut on the VMT, so. I'm pretty far down to like speculation.
Yeah.
Here on this too. I think what they're going to be looking at is. Just, an increase to the gas tax, that's gotta be on the table. I think, there are other ways that the state can raise this money, it's, vehicle fees. In the last transportation package, there was a bump up in registration fee for all electric vehicles to, kind of kick in a little bit of a share there. There was even a little bit of an assessment put on new bicycles in the 2017 legislative session, I think, to put some skin in the game.
They really turn
From active transportation, so I think there are a lot of options on the table. The state is also facing a lawsuit from the trucking industry. I need to actually look at the Constitution to read the language, but apparently there's wording in the Oregon Constitution that Oregon's transportation budget has to be funded by a balance of passenger vehicles and like heavy trucking freight. And so the trucking industry feels like that is out of that constitutionally mandated balance. So the state is also facing that lawsuit at the same time. So it's very complicated. And we are probably going to see some interesting maneuvers once the legislative session starts. So all that to say, we'll be at the round table next Friday and part of the conversation.
So you're saying fill up your gas now before the actions go on next.
I don't think we have a lot to worry about until the next election cycle. Most of these things will kick in after the election.
And I think fall elections are also coming up. Speaking about the Bridge of the Gods, we got our $6 million in study funding from the state of Oregon. We've been in conversations with our legislative champion across the river, Kevin Waters, about making an ask to the Washington legislature as well. There's a lot happening electorally across the river right now. So first, the legislative district, the 17th legislative district that used to contain Stevenson has been changed. We went through a redistricting process in 2020. So in 2022, there were new lines, and then a judge in Washington State threw out the lines for, I think it's two of the districts. So they had to get redistricted yet again. And the line shifted pretty significantly over to the east. And so the legislative district 17 that Kevin Waters represents is one of those that was changed pretty significantly. Kevin did not draw an opponent in his race. So unless something unimaginable happens, Kevin will be representing the 17th and one of the House seats. The other House seat is a open contested election. Two folks made it through the primary, one Republican, one Democrat, both from Clark County. It's I believe the Republican is the mayor of Washougal, and I forget what the Democrats day job. Terry Niles is her name. Dave Stubbe is the mayor of Washougal. So the winner of that race will factor into our work across the river as well. And then in the Washington Senate seat, that is also an open seat with Linda Wilson retiring, and former House Rep Paul Harris is running that race against Marla Keithler, and Marla is the mayor of White Salmon. So interesting stuff happening over there. At the same time, Washington voters are considering whether to repeal the Climate Commitment Act, which is it's basically a cap and trade funding program that accounts for a pretty good chunk of the Washington state transportation budget. And so the folks with the crystal ball say that most likely that repeal won't happen. Who's to say? We'll find out on election day or shortly after. If the CCA is repealed, that legislature will have to figure out how to plug a pretty big hole in their transportation funding budget. If it's not repealed, there's still a pretty sizable gap in the transportation budget in Washington. So there may be a transportation package. Just like there was in 2023, we may see one in 2025. But a lot has to happen
Yeah,
between
glad
now.
we're not dealing with that one.
What's that?
Glad we're not dealing with that one over in like they are in Washington. That one is, yeah, a little controversy.
Yeah, if we think our shortfall is big in Oregon,
Yeah.
you know, Washington has, I think, it's like $3 billion that they need to
Well,
spend just on,
well, they
culvert
estimated,
projects.
estimated how much it was gonna cost each person, and it ended up being generating about 3 or 4 times the revenue that they had anticipated or that they projected. So it cost everybody a whole lot more money. So now they're taking a percentage of that money that they earned that was so high, and they're giving everybody a rebate that's like 7% of what the revenue was in order to keep people from repealing the tax.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't heard all
It's
that.
kind of interesting. So
Yeah.
yeah, the governor is basically taking that money and giving everybody a little rebate, you know, kind of like a paper check, just to make them feel good about the fact that they ended up costing them 3 or 4 times as much as what he said it was going to cost. So it's giving them a little bit of the money he took from them back to them, so they won't vote to not do it.
Yeah, well, interesting dynamics across the river. You know, here at Port, I mean, we're continuing building our network and relationships with local government, with our representatives at the state level, the feds as well. You know, federally, we're going to have a new member of Congress in the next year. Congressman Blumenauer, of course, is retiring at the end of this Congress, and there is a race to replace him. Most folks' crystal ball says Maxine Dexter will probably be the pick. She's the winner of the Democratic primary. The 3rd congressional is a pretty Democratic district, but you never know till all the votes are counted. And once we're through that, we'll be reaching out to that new members team to have a little get.
That's exciting times.
Mark, any questions or? Feeling good? Very good. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, David.
Thanks for letting me throw that at you too.
Oh, of course.
Oh, by the way, what have you been up to?
Yeah, come up here and talk.
Thanks for doing that, I appreciate it.
Happy to.
Oh, I guess, the call with Jim Andrews, is there anything to report on that?
Not really. So yeah, they're looking for, you know, metro area quarter for the stern wheeler, of course, in the off season. And they were talking to Oregon Metro about mooring it there. And I think, I forget if there was a trip up with their legal department. I think that might have been it, but there was some like kind of brick wall keeping that from happening. So the Jim's meeting with Metro didn't actually end up happening, but he's got a couple other options he's trying to chase down. So,
Jim gave us a call and said, hey, did Dan know anybody at Metro? And I said, probably. Dan knew a few guys at Metro, so we tried to grease the wheels as best we could, but like I said, we hit a brick wall. It does sound like we're making some progress with Vancouver waterfront or potentially Portland waterfront, or maybe both.
Okay. And that would just be for,
For the winter season, they probably go down sometime in December.
let's see,
Operations, sir.
Right. Feels like we haven't done this for quite some time.
that's why I forgot.
I've got a list.
Last video.
And you can just say that.
Yeah, no, I got some stars. Bridge of God's Run went super smooth. That is just super neat to see that many people on the bridge at one time. I just think it's super cool. I hope that's something that continues on for years to come. The stern wheeler engines are gone and sold. That was good to get them out of Flex 6. Weekly mowing efforts and watering efforts in the park have kept everything green and looking great. Thank you, Tom and Alfonso especially. They put a lot of effort into that. Working on procuring bids for the Harvey Road electrical and plumbing work. That'll be for the Harvey Road restrooms. PCT days went also very smoothly besides a major traffic backup on I-84. The team handled it extremely well. I couldn't be prouder of everybody there. It just went super smooth for how much of a pain it could have been for everyone. So thank you to everybody there. We received a new marina spill kit. Thank you, Oregon State Marine Board, for that. That's it's great to keep that stuff up to date, and that keeps us in line with our Oregon Clean Marina status, and just helps our tenants clean up their spills. Hopefully it'll never happen, but if it does, we've got a good brand new kit there. We've been having weekly meetings with Juan from Ixtapa and until their opening day is set, and they're making some really great progress. You guys want to get together with Jeremiah, I'm sure he'd be happy to show it off. It's starting to look great down there. The sewer lift station repair is complete. It was completed Friday, 8/23. Thank you to all of our tenants and to Marina folks who use our transient dock, and for Janetta for working with me and being very patient. Thank you, everybody. That's done and complete. We have 2 new maintenance workers. We have 1 new full-time maintenance worker 1, and that is Levi Delina. Welcome to the team. And we have Cole Kovacic on as our seasonal maintenance worker. It took us a while to find somebody, and but we're going to utilize them to their full potential here for the rest of the season. And they've been doing some great work. Some new Herman Creek and signage in the business park. A new Herman Creek kiosk is built, which will also double as our 3rd life jacket station. And then just some leak repairs and things like that around the marine park from all the events we've been having. When we have vehicles out there, it ends up getting our irrigation systems every now and then. Bridge of the Gods sign replacement should be done by the end of the month. We've got the new sign was on order and should be completed by the end of the week. And with scheduling and everything, I think it'll be the last week of September that we get the temporary replacement sign up there. And then we'll still be working on the RFP to procure a new better sign.
I was like, oh my God, I missed something. Did we make a decision on this thing?
No, this is just a couple polycarbonate signs extremely similar to the last ones we had that just are
It'll be an upgrade for sure.
still be better than what we have there now, and should hopefully appease the public and just gives people something to look at.
It appeased me, those signs drove me nuts. And then we pulled them down and it was worse. Wow.
The new signage in the business park, is that?
It's just the directional signage, letting people know where to go. You know, out there, it's been kind of ambiguous on where Easy Climb is, where the Cove is, where different things are. Some signage was really dilapidated for the disc golf course, so there's a new disc golf map sign up there, and signs that just lead you to where you are trying to go.
Yeah, I think that must have been what I called you about that one day.
Oh,
I was down at Easy Climb and I saw someone with like a tractor and a backhoe, like over that parking lot with the other things at. And trip over this, who are you?
And so that
I was like, oh, I thought you were someone else. Carry on.
Yeah, if you get a chance to cruise down there, the new signs together, it's really cool. Those were all paid for grants. And I'm happy to see them on.
Yeah. That's pretty much it. There's a lot more there, but let somebody else have the floor here.
The sign for Ixtapa down at the entrance to the Port Marine Park, cause it says currently like the cafe.
Oh,
Ixtapa's taking care of that.
Yes, they have one. They've actually sent me a superimposed photo like the one they posted on Facebook. And I was hoping they'd put that up there too, but they've got ideas, they got stuff on order, and they'll have that sign replaced for their opening day.
Wasn't sure how easy it was to like if it was easily replaceable.
Shouldn't be too bad.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, we're excited. That's one I'm very excited to get in, and it'll be a good one for us.
Just following up on Parker's very humble report about sewer lift station report, Jeremiah and I both want to commend Parker, who became so personally involved in investigating the situation, finding the lowest cost, quickest solution that would not disrupt Ixtapa's construction schedule. In fact, it helped accelerate it. And he really took one for the team, even with the installation. And I just think he did a remarkable job with that project. It's not, something that really gets a whole lot of light on it, thank goodness, the sewer system. But of course, it is key to the operation of the port. And the marine park especially, and Parker did just an amazing job, soup to nuts on that project. And you've got a really well functioning facility now for much lower cost than what we originally anticipated. So I just wanted to commend Parker, personal responsibility there. And
You should
then.
get along with Mike Rowe.
Yeah. And then I'm just gonna highlight a couple of the major news points in the admin update. One of them is that the RFP is out and it is live right now for the Bridge Studies project. This is the $6 million state funded project. This is the first RFP of what will likely be a series of them. And this is for the owner's engineer and project manager component of the project. Bids will be due, oh gosh, I should have looked at it, but bids are due soon, and we're gonna have a non-mandatory proposal conference on September 11th. I believe bids are due on that.
That's right.
Yes, and so that is underway. So far, I think we've got 5 or 6 engineering firms that have expressed interest in the project. So I think we'll get some good proposals to look at coming forward. So that's important progress on the state project. Also, Ted will like this one. We've received and reviewed the progress reports from C2 Recreation and Ptarmigan Trails that the pro build side of the new trail is complete. And we're really excited. I haven't gotten out there. Ted had some great video on Facebook showing the new trail. And I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about how it looks to you as a potential user.
They did a great job.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I would hire them. So
Yeah.
that's how it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I hope to get out there soon. I'm not much of a mountain biker, but I'm a hiker, so I'm gonna try and hike that trail as soon as I can and take a bunch of pictures. Chris Bernhardt, who is the sort of the quality control construction manager part of this project, is going to be presenting to you in October with some photos and videos of the trail, so you can understand the whole experience. And we are now talking with, I had a meeting this morning with Jody and Daniel at the Forest Service, talking about potential choices of trail segments that we should select for our next round of applications to the recreational trails program, if you would like to pursue. Just a quick bit of history is that the Cascade Locks Trail Network in its entirety received environmental clearances, has gone through the NEPA process, and those approvals don't last forever. So, and it took about 15 years to get those approvals. So we don't want to miss this opportunity. We recommend that the port does pursue another round of funding for another segment of trail and just keep that success going with those partnerships. Oregon Parks and Recreation is thrilled with especially Northwest Trail Alliance, who I think had more than 65,000 hours of volunteer time or something on the network so far. And so we have really engaged volunteers. We have a pro team that really did a great job. And so we'd like to move forward. That will bring you more information on that. But that trail segment is complete. There are still connections that need to be made. And so we'll have more information for you in October on the next steps for that. Also, we received the final approved closeout letter for the ARPA grant, which is really great to have wrapped that up. And that I think is the last of our COVID monies that we need to report on and complete those projects. So that is done. And then moving on to just letting you know, we're developing a small grants application with Oregon State Marine Board to fund about $23,000, $24,000 worth of seal coating and striping at the boat launch parking lot. We'll be submitting that next month, and working on organizing the executive director's work plan along with all of the tasks and objectives of the strategic business plan into a actual 5-year work plan document that we hope you'll discuss during a work session in the next couple of months.
Thank you, Jenny. Into the Region 1 ODOT meeting, Commissioner Peterson attended that with me as well over Zoom. They will be selecting restructuring, I believe, the criteria somewhat and the process and procedures for which people are put on the Region 1 ODOT board. And so that was a large portion of what that meeting sort of entailed. We also met with ACL quite a bit. It was interesting. A lot of these meetings that I held today kind of ended here today, so that was good as well. So ACL, I think we've seen them maybe 3 times since the last time we met. We also had Nate Stice out, who is the solutions coordinator for the regional solutions team. Really good to see him from the governor's office. Came down, we had lunch. He asked me to send the strategic business plan. So we had an opportunity to review that. We sat down and went over it together. Really excited about the direction you guys are headed. Had lots of good things to say about this commission, about the port, and about the work that he's been seen being done, what he's being heard about the port. He was also very excited about KiddieCity, and said that if there was anything that got in the way of that moving forward, that I was supposed to call him on the bat phone. So Nate was really excited about that one. Look to see that moving forward. Hit a couple city council meetings. Did some decent work with Matt Marinico, talking Flex 5 and Flex 6. Work progresses to get a tenant in Flex 6 and some conversations with potential tenants. I would have liked to have had something to you today, but those negotiations continue. So hopefully I'll be meeting with them tomorrow and their accountants. I'll be bringing my accountants along. Hopefully we can sharpen some pencils and get to where we need to be on that. We'll have some good news to deliver. I would love to see that happen. If not at the next meeting, the meeting after. He left out our meeting with Ton, which was so great. I had a great meeting with Ton from the Cascade Inn. Talked about her building, talked about her visions for that building. She really has sort of a sense from the community that she feels like they don't understand her story. They don't understand how she's gotten herself into the predicament that she's gotten into and the number of bad hands she's sort of been dealt over this. And that there's sort of a sense that she doesn't want to see it become all the things it could become. So me and Genevieve had a great opportunity with her. I think we all maybe shed a tear on that one. And talked about some potential programs that were out there for her. And you want to mention some of that conversation? It went really well.
Yeah, I mean, we were able to sort of get up to speed with the condition of the building and the whole history of how it got into that condition. And her vision is really aligned with the port's strategic business plan and I think the downtown revitalization strategic business plan, of the city's strategic business plan. I don't want to disclose too much of what she's thinking, but we were able to find at least 6 different state and federal grant programs that might be able to help her along that process. And so we're trying to send those to her and offer her any assistance that we can to help her realize her vision for the building. And like I said, I don't want to disclose too much of what her plans are, but they're really cool and I think it'll be a really neat change for downtown.
Met with Neology. It's an acquisition or a merger, I'm not quite sure. Yeah, it was acquisition of P Square, who is our polling technology provider. We initially met them. We'd like to have them out here in the next few weeks to take a look at our system and the way that we operate. Potentially some upgrades. I know you'd like to see us be able to take cards faster, also offer the top app as a solution, but also see what this means for the Port of Cascade Locks as we move towards having a partner in the Port of Hood River that won't be tolling here in the next 5 years. So we really like to sit down with them and make sure that they have an understanding of where we're headed and understanding of their new offerings that they have. We're excited about it, but haven't fully wrapped around what it means to us. Although from a service level, they assured that there won't be changes. So that was good to hear. Joint Transportation Roadshow planning meeting. Dan talked about that. Met with the cities, so Jordan, Abigail from the Port of the City of Hood River, also our administrator for the county. Speaking of the county, Chad Munzer came out, did a tour of the port as well. It was great to spend some time with him. He's got himself involved in some of the conversations with the city and the sheriff, so he understands that issue really well and had some interesting things to say about it. We also took him out and took a walk along the bridge, which he'd never done before. I really wanted to make sure that he understood that as a representative of our county, like I love to call that thing my bridge, but that very much is Chad's bridge now. So explained a lot of the bridge history to him, the direction that it's headed, what an important asset is to us, and he was great. It was probably 90 minutes with Chad. Had lots of questions and really worked hard to understand the direction the port was headed. Was able to hit a Brownsfield conference at OSU. MCEDD was there, pulled me aside and said, hey, we've got some great funding for some area planning. She was like, we could definitely, look at specific properties that you have on Main Street, if that's something you're interested in. But she's also said that, we've committed a lot of this money to full-on area planning, so particularly a full look at the downtown area. So we'll understand that program a little bit more, see what funds are available, and I think we'll be back in here with MCEDD to explain what's available, then our permission to move forward with it, but was a good conference. SEAO came down. It was good to get to meet Mike Jacobs, talked a little bit about risk management. We have made a number of larger claims in the last 4 or 5 years. And so they wanted to have a discussion about that. We definitely have seen our premiums go up. And so I think we all sort of got some good takeaways from that meeting. Number one being, if anything goes wrong, call SBA first. I think we all sort of knew that, but it was good to hear that. There's sometimes you call them very first thing and they're like, yeah, no, that's not a big deal. They're like, okay, just check. Right? So felt good for them to say, hey, call us first. I do want to talk a little bit about the work plan work session. So a lot of hard work has gone into that work plan. A lot of hard work is still left to be done on it. In order to pull that together, and I'd like to see the commission pick out a date sooner rather than later this month that we can all get together. If it has to be pushed next month, okay, but this month preferably, where we can spend an hour, 90 minutes, maybe 2 hours. It can be done in House 3, so we don't have to have this room available. It does need to be a public meeting, but we do need to kind of put our brains around that a little bit, get some feedback on it. So that would be one thing I'd want us to take a look at is what days potentially would work for the commission to have a special work session.
I got my calendar open, we can have a weekday or weekend.
Doesn't matter. I will make myself late. Might not a little to Genevieve. No, it would probably be a weekday.
Okay. Okay.
I made some promises when I hired it.
I mean, you know what, we all have more active schedules than I do,
And
I'm not retired, I'm just a professional grandpa though, so.
I saw you outside your house painting it with a hand brush. What are you doing?
It's just, it's so brush. I'm almost done, man. But I don't know how many hundreds.
You're painting your building. Tiny little.
Detail oriented.
Yes, very much so, very, very
My
much.
schedule's pretty much a frenzy until mid-October, so if you set something, I'll definitely try to make it, but.
I understand.
As far as the work session is concerned, I mean, you guys are awesome at getting ready prepared for us, but would even want to be enough for you to do something. That is the 10th Tuesday. Which is literally next Tuesday.
How's the
I can't. We can't, okay. And the 17th would be our following one.
The 17th is our following meeting.
Are you guys able to start earlier than 6? We could do like
I could,
a work session before the regular session?
on the 17th, yeah, I could.
Let us know what time, I'll be here.
Rob,
Unfortunately, I work until 5 at least, I mean, very woman.
Rob can make that work, that gets us a quorum. Yeah, I'm sorry.
I could try to sneak out a little early.
We could also have you on Zoom, just playing in the background.
Yeah.
The soothing sound of
The
the word.
soothing sound of the work session.
I don't know if you guys know this, but I talk a lot and ask a lot of questions. There's 1 hour and not.
Probably not. It's probably not. This is the heavy lifting of the heavy lifting we've already done. Right. What are we gonna do now? This is how are we gonna do it?
It's kind of the rest of the story.
It's the rest of the standard plan.
So
I
I guess,
definitely want to attend, so.
yeah. Was there another day that worked better for you?
No, I'm like 12-hour days every day until October 7th.
October 8th it is.
We can't push it, right? We can't push it. I know the commission worked really hard, all 5 of you. To get that strategic business plan in place, and if there's a need to push it out, but remember that this plan also is, we're going into October, we haven't started our plan yet, right? So
One thing we might
be able to do in the meantime is identify a set of probably 10 to 15 questions that we would be asking of you during that work session anyway, mostly about your priorities, you know, your sense of a timeline on a specific focus area, what you want to do first, second, third. And that can help us, you know, maybe do some organizing of the plan before we meet together to kind of go over it. So there's some stuff that we can do.
Yeah, I love that idea. It's actually something that I was gonna actually ask or request, is if we did have to tighten these out, it would be good to go into that first one with basically what are the high topics, what are the themes, what are the things we need to worry about, and then we can some details of subsequent meetings. Because yeah, for sure, we're not gonna get it all in an hour, but no way.
This week, we're sort of taking the list that you created, and sort of projecting that onto the strategic business plan and merging it with all of the tasks that we had listed in the strategic business plan and making sure that, yeah, and, you know, from there, we will certainly have staff recommended priorities and just on a practical basis, this can't happen until that happens, right? And that takes 12 months, so this has to be in the 36 month.
Right.
Or, you know, so we'll have some just basic logical organizing for you, but the magical part of it is to really understand where's the consensus amongst the 5 of you on that prioritization.
Right.
And so, you know, there will be debate amongst commissioners on, you know, you may not have agreement on everything of what is the highest priority for year 1, 2, 3, 4. And so you need to budget enough time to talk amongst yourselves on, you know, where is that, you know, 3-2 vote on the, you know, the tiebreaker on issues of what you want to do before the other things.
Certain things are gonna be phased. I mean, it's gonna like,
Right.
there's the planning process and we might be months out.
Yeah.
On the planning phase of it, feasibility, and then there's the budgeting, figuring out where the money's coming from and you know, how that plays into grant cycles, et cetera. So some of those things will kind of figure themselves out as we go through the process. But the first thing is determining what the priorities are and what the steps are on each of those different items. So, yes,
So do we want to maybe consider something in October for the care team goals, or do we like that pre-meeting before meeting for the first one? Do we have?
I kind of like the idea of a pre-meeting. Just so we can set the priorities, because it's gonna take a long time, like, it's gonna take a lot of discussion, like, no way around it, right?
yeah, you guys,
What's that?
you've met all of us, so
Yeah, I
you
know.
know that.
I know, and I'm the one that talks the most, so I know that's.
What the priorities are, so I can email and say, like, this is where my thoughts are.
So would we still be comfortable with that free time on set? I mean, if you're working 12 hours a day anyways, then would it make a difference if we did say the 18th?
I mean, you can definitely set it and I'll come if I can for sure, like.
Like, we obviously want you there, but I want
Yeah.
to do whatever we can to be sure you're there as well.
So, yeah, I should be able to, I mean, if we set it for like 5:30 or something.
Like on the 18th.
Sure.
Did you say 18th or 17th?
I think on the 18th.
The day after the court
The
meeting.
day after.
Okay, the day after.
Or were you talking the day of before we starting?
Either way,
Right.
I can't start earlier,
I'm
so.
just- she can- I just make sure I
2 days
understand.
in a row, it would be better for me. Sorry, guys, I hate my schedule right now.
It's brutal right now, too, like everything is.
The 18th, you're free. The only thing I have is the RFP proposals are due, but that's just early today, right?
the 18th would be. Wait, 18th, what time?
5:30.
Hour and a half. Great, cool.
Okay.
Does that work for you? Great, thumbs up.
Awesome.
Brad?
Yeah, I'm good, like I said, you know, I'm gonna be painting my house and going.
Yeah, and it'll be out there anyway, we're gonna be out there with a tiny little paintbrush in the edges.
And maybe you come to that meeting prepared to figure out when we're gonna schedule the next one.
Oh, for sure.
Taking the next one out. Also would like to talk to you guys about potentially rescheduling the October 1st meeting. That falls during PNWA, which I know some of you will be attending the meeting. I can tell you that one. Anything's coming to that one. We were looking at the day before.
The day before. Yeah, September 30th.
Thank you. Doing it on the 30th.
It's up to everyone else. I'm gonna be out of town unfortunately, so meetings.
Wednesday would be better. Won't be able to do 30.
I think that still has us in PNWA time.
Oh, yeah,
So
it's the first through the third.
this fall conference season is kind of up.
It's a good conference, so.
It
It
is
is
a
good
great
conference.
conference, and I'm
Yeah,
so
it's great,
excited for it.
So.
I'm
Where is
missing a
it?
lot of good stuff.
Can't remember.
Vancouver. It was fun last year. Highly recommend if you haven't gone to go, I wish you could go.
We just following weekend.
Following week.
I have to confirm, but I think Bradford Island has the room on.
Okay, so let's go ahead and do the following week. And move, so we put us in house 3 or do a Zoom version.
We can do that.
So
The
The 8th.
So 8 works for.
Hey.
I'll be here for
You'll
that.
be available.
I'll be free.
To be exhausted.
My
but-
shackles.
Ted is like, they said the first and the third Tuesday. What is this?
There we go.
We had to get him, we had to get him in here first. Then we can pull the fast one. All right, Commissioner comments, are we,
I think we got our, yeah, the 8th
Yes.
and then, yeah, I think we're good.
okay, perfect. Madam,
All right, so the couple committees that I'm on, some updates, we've got our magical history tour on October
get my
5th.
parent.
It's gonna be a pirate boat party on the Stern Wheeler. Tickets are only $65 right now until September 15th. So get your tickets early.
I got him.
I'm so bummed that I'm gonna be out of town for it. Like, I'm super bummed. So we better do a pirate theme again another year. And then the ticket prices go up, but it includes, I think, a lot of hors d'oeuvres and finger foods, and then a really cool silent auction that I've gotten a lot of good donations from around, like Mount Hood Meadows lift tickets. I got Society Hotel soaking passes for their hot pool. I got I think I got Edgefield, a night at Edgefield, a night at Canadian Lodge. So lots of good stuff to give away.
What's the date on that?
October 5th.
I was like, I'm in now.
Yeah.
I said Edgefield, I'm in.
Yeah, we're gonna attend, obviously.
It's gonna be the museum boards where you train on fundraising and, you know, like, there's lots of. It's awesome.
So it should be a good time. Then we've got the Bridge of the Gods Centennial Committee that we have a meeting. Thanks to Rob, we got Jason pulled in from the PCT days. Looking at potentially hiring him as our organizational administrative guy to pull everything together for us. Haven't made any decisions yet, but I think that is definitely something that we need help with. And his expertise kind of aligns with everything we want to do. So excited about that. Hoping to make some additional progress on other parts of that planning, such as finally getting in touch with WAM, the Western Aeronautical Antique Auto Museum, to try to partner with them for having a cool air and auto show during that weekend and setting dates and all of that. But Jason was pretty positive that, you know, we're starting really early and, you know, the longest time we might need to actually do all this planning is about 18 months. So, you know, I think we're getting a good head start on everything.
That's good. That's awesome.
And that's about it.
I'll go next. I'll echo what Parker mentioned. The Bridge of God's run was super fun. It was great seeing all those folks in town, chatting with them and people from all over the place. I get people from everywhere. And speaking of people from everywhere, I can't believe that I don't think any of you all watched this. PCT days just happened.
I said something. I topped it with the bridge back.
Yeah, people from everywhere. Holy smokes. It was so cool to like go down there and enjoy like the events and like meet with folks and just like everything. Yeah, I'm personally still recovering from PCT days. But yeah, just a great event and a lot of stuff really good for our community comes out of that. That's awesome. Still seeing that on the hikers even come out. I saw a hiker just come through on Saturday or Sunday who was actually at PCT days. He hitchhiked from California up to PCT days just for the event and then hitchhiked back to the spot that he was in, and then he just made it back.
Oh, wow.
To us.
Wow.
Good story, that's really cool.
So it's obviously a huge event, and I talked to a couple of different hikers that were saying that there's not anything else like it on the entire trail where people get to meet all converge in one area. It's basically a celebration party for everyone that's on the trail, whether they finish it or not. So it really means a lot to that community, and I think that's really great, and it's so awesome that we can be part of it and that it gets to be on board property, which is even better. I had Ixtapa here, but you had mentioned already that they don't have a live date yet.
Yeah, not yet. Right, no live day. I think it's gonna creep up on us and just be there. They're waiting on, yes. I think it's gonna creep up on us. It'll be there. I know there's one final permit that they need.
You know, it's funny, Deb was, my wife was saying, well, they're missing the season. I'm going, Ixtapa's gonna have a season. I get the feeling from the buzz that I'm hearing from everybody is they're gonna be busy, no matter what time of the year it is.
I agree.
It's like, man, everybody's been saying, oh, somebody texted me with a picture of the Ixtapa down there. They said, where is that? Oh, it's, you know, so I told them, it's in the Marine Park down by the Sturm. Oh, like, when's it gonna be open? I said, I don't know. But yeah, oh, it's awesome. It's gonna be great. So, yeah, I'm excited too. I want to welcome Levi and Cole Breckley, as we said. Also, Ted, our new commissioner. And I just want to again say I'm really excited for us being able to throw in a letter of support, not only for the Core Transit, but also for KiddieCity, because I know that something our community is needed for a very long time, and it's everyone that I know that has young kids been very vocal of we drive too far or it costs too much or we have nothing like that here. So even being able to be a smart part of solving that problem for the community is huge. So
It's also in your strategic business plan, so you guys get to cross one off the list pretty quick.
well, there you go. That's part of your. That's actually that's part of
It's also
your.
your end. We have your strategic business plan. That's really good.
And it's cool, all we had to do was sign a piece of paper.
Exactly, you guys did that way.
It's really good.
No.
We're taking it.
Yeah, and I guess I'll just end by saying thanks to all for the hard work, and I guess technically I have to say thanks to Jeremiah, but he passes it down. Thank you all so much for everything that you do, even you, Danny, right now. But yeah. thank all
Even
so
you,
much.
Dan.
He was staring at you waiting for you.
Yes, certainly not.
No, I mean, Jeremiah said it in his note, like. The summer is a very, very busy time for all of us, just in the city itself. It takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of effort, it takes just a lot of commitment to do what we do within the city here. Just with the amount of tourists that come through, just as a regular citizen, it's a lot of just work, just dealing with all the folks that are like, oh, now I have to wait an hour and a half to go have lunch where it usually doesn't take that long. Like this is a commitment that the community itself has to take. So knowing that the summer is coming to a close here in the next couple of weeks, I just want to say thanks to everyone at the port for all of their hard work and making sure that we are able to have those events like the Bridge of the Gods runs, like the PCDAs and things like that. I know it means a lot to the entire community and to a lot of people. Like I said, from around the globe, those things mean a lot. So I just want to say thank you to you all.
Albert said thanks.
He beat you to it. He thanked us on Friday. He beat you to it.
Oh, I was actually referring to the email that you sent.
And I just want to say thank you for welcoming to me. Looking forward to really participating and diving in and helping out. So, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Your fingerprints, your blood type.
We take souls.
All right, I guess I'll go. Yeah, I'm sitting at home with the bad case of poison oak, so sorry I couldn't be there today. I am enjoying AC while you guys are heating up in the city hall room, so sorry. Um, yeah, thank you, Parker and Genevieve for just all the grant seeking opportunities and project costs, figuring those out. I'll get back to you, Genevieve, on the Life Fest stations, the grants we're doing. So I'm really happy that we're able to pull that off this year and continue that and you know go into our second year with all the PFD resupplies and stuff like that. So looking forward to that. In 2 weeks, I'm going to go to the Joint Committee on Transportation in the Dalles. They're going to do a little road show where they're just going to talk about how to keep Oregon infrastructure projects moving forward. So be a good opportunity to network there and represent transportation needs of Cascade Locks to ODOT and other agencies. Let's see. Thank you to the entire port staff for surviving this whole schedule of summer events. You know, it seemed like it was a really successful year. Just tourism continues to grow. And a big thank you to our local fire and EMS for, you know, attending those emergencies and wildfire risks that we have during this time. A big thank you to former Commissioner Pam for her work on the commission here, helping us with the strategic business plan and Hood River Energy Council. And let's see what else. Also, yeah, thank you, Ted, for stepping up with your public service and all the hours you put on the trail out here and getting that organization together and getting volunteers out there. So welcome to the commission.
You're here. Thank you, Pam.
Yeah,
Yes.
thank you, Pam. We love you.
Well, I guess I'll follow up with that. The same thing is, first of all, welcome to Ted, but thank you, Pam, for all of your contributions, hard work and volunteering and also on the Energy Council and everything else that you've done. You know, we got a great team here. Fantastic staff. You really kept everything going this summer when it was super busy. I'm sad that I could not make PCT days. We had family matter in down the coast that we had to go to a memorial, but came back to a little unfortunate drama as well. So it's been a busy couple of weeks, but we're hoping that our previous tenant is he's in Norfolk currently, and it's kind of a failure of the system, unfortunately, hoping that he gets eventually the help that he needs. Still waiting for the system to kick in and take care of that. But anyway, other than that, I've been painting my house with a very small brush. I'm almost done. It's a big house, you know, you don't realize how big your house is. So, you know, and it's like an old store, so it's got these parapet walls that are like, it's 60 feet deep, 14 feet on the back, 30 and 18 feet tall on the sides. So, you know, lots of square feet. And, you know,
I drove by and I saw Brad sitting on his porch. Like this. What are you doing?
it's like this. It's all curved. But I've got kind of down. This is now the third time that I've painted the place. It's 100 years old this year, so you know, we've done quite a bit of work to it. But man, it's like you know, you get all the major stuff done, and then you got all the deferred maintenance for everything you did 15 years ago. Now it's time to redo it. But anyway, that being said, you know, want to say thank you to Janetta, because I know that she was, every time I saw her, she's like buzzing by in the little four-wheeler with looked like deer in the headlights half the time, because there's so many things going on in the park, and and Parker too, with his staff is keeping everybody, you know, keeping the lights on and the trash emptied and man, the park has never looked better. It's beautiful. It's amazing. Like I said, I really miss not being here for PCT days and some of the other events, but looking forward to PNWA conference. Deb's, my wife's looking forward to getting out and doing some hiking. She's also hoping that there's handicap parking there because she's getting a knee replacement on the 23rd. So, you know, but she's, you know, looking into the future and going, man, she really wants to get out and do some hiking, which she hasn't been able to do like for the last year because of her knee needing to be replaced. But, you know, we're still hoping to be able to go and enjoy those trails that Ted and his crew has been working on so hard. Welcome, Ted, and we got a lot of exciting things to do here in the future. And you know, now it's kind of the rubber meets the road. Jeremiah and Genevieve and you guys have all been doing all the hard work on getting this prepared for us to make the decisions. So thank you to everybody. So that's all we have. But if there's nothing else to come before the commission, I'll adjourn.
Thank you, that was it.
Commissioner, thank you for joining us.
Yes.
Please.